Hey, good morning to all my amplified unit out there in the world today, January 14th, 2020. Can you guys believe we are almost halfway through January already? Can you believe the year is flying by this fast already? And speaking of flying by, what would you do if I told you that this Monday was already the go-home show from Monday Night Raw to the Royal Rumble? Does it feel like WrestleMania season to you? Are you excited? Questionable, right? But before we go over anything and everything that happened on Raw last night for January 13th, 2020, I first want to give you guys a little bit of a channel update of sorts. Because you see, several times this weekend, the Amplified Man was perturbed because there were so many news stories in the pro wrestling world, so many topics and discussions that I wanted to partake in, so much that I had to say on these topics and discussions, albeit they were more of the dramatic nature, but they were news stories nonetheless, and I had a lot to say about them. But because I was out in the world, I couldn't get in front of a camera. I couldn't find a location, get the camera set up, and talk to you guys like I normally would like to, and I know you guys would like me to talk to you face-to-face, full passion. I wasn't able to do such. So all these stories, you had Marty and ROH, you had Cage and AEW, you had the Page situation with Triple H, you had Tessa Blanchard, and I couldn't speak any of it, and I assure you, my passion and what I had to say was way more than 140 characters on social media could ever do it justice. I needed to be on this platform with a length of time and discuss with you guys full throttle passion. And I couldn't do that because unlike a lot of YouTubers where this is their job, it's not mine. I have a lot of things that I do in this world. I always have a couple, 2, 3 things going on at once. So at no time over the weekend, even yesterday, all the way leading up to Monday Night Raw, I had zero time to just find a location, whip out a camera, and do what we love to do. So, what am I getting at? From here on out, guys, from here on out, starting right now, this is actually good news for you guys too, but you're gonna grunt and moan a little bit. And what I mean is, from here on out, I am, no matter where I am in the world, I am going to put out a video, an amplified extra, I guess you could call it. If it's a big news topic, big news story, wherever I am in the world, I'm going to put out my thoughts on this platform. So it's way more than 140 characters in a paragraph on social media. No, you're going to get a 5, 10, maybe 20-minute video wherever I am. So when you think about it, it's good news because you guys are going to be getting even more content. Now, where you're going to moan and grunt a little bit is on these extra amplified videos. They're probably not going to be a face-to-face talk like this. It might be a sheer pure black screen. In other words, you're not going to be seeing the Amplified Man in all of his animations. You're not going to be seeing the passion. But you will still be feeling it through hearing it, I assure you. And trust me, I'll be so passionate, maybe you will be fucking seeing that shit. But I am, from here on out, going to be dishing out more content because I want to deliver my thoughts right when these news stories break. When I first started the channel, I was able to do that a little more. As time goes on, I took more on my plate with extracurricular activities in the outside world, and before you knew it, I wasn't able to do that. But I want to start getting back into that. The only downside is I won't be able to find a pristine location. I won't be able to set up a nice camera and have this type of interaction. You know, it's going to be one of those on-the-fly type situations. I might have people around even, but I will be speaking into a mic, and you guys will be getting it on this platform. So all apologies that it might be a black screen. All apologies that you might not be seeing the Amplified Man on every video. But just know that I'm doing it because I want to give you guys more content. I'm doing it because I am that passionate about this business and about this industry. And when a topic and a discussion arises that is loaded, I want to be able to speak on it. because I feel there's way too many tools in this community that they do, unfortunately. They open their mouth and they spew out the weirdest nonsense that one could even imagine. I mean, you couldn't even imagine the nonsensical BS that comes out of some people's mouth. But in the pro wrestling community, you see it time and time again. And I know you guys yearn for it, and I know I yearn for it myself. And that is just somebody with common sense logic who's done their research up to that point anyway, and will continue to do their research. You want somebody like that to talk about such topic and such discussion. And that's where I come into play. You know, and that's what I struggled with this weekend. So many times I wanted to just find a location, man. I wanted to take 30 minutes, even though I didn't have that 30 minutes. I wanted to find the time and talk to you guys. But it just I wasn't able to the entire weekend, even yesterday, all throughout Monday leading into Raw. That's going to change from now on. Even though it's not going to be Amplified Man being seen on camera every video, you're still going to get amplified. You're still going to get that amplification because I've had enough. I got a lot to say, and it's going to be said. Now, don't worry, guys. Every review, all the Raw reviews, all the fucking AEW reviews, NXT, SmackDown reviews, still, unless I change this in the future, still the podcast on Fridays or over the weekend. That's all going to be full amplification. You're going to see the Amplified Man. We're going to have a face-to-face discussion like we love to do. So that's not going to change. You're still going to get me live and in color always. You're just going to get even more content. It just might be in the face-to-face realm. All right, so that's the good news and a little bit of bad news. Good news, you're getting more content. Bad news, I'm going to be out in the world, so I might not be able to do it face-to-face. All right? Hopefully you guys are cool with that, man. It's more content. And when a news story breaks, I want to give you guys my thoughts up front. You know, I'm not one of these people that needs to get all the facts up front. I'm going to talk about the big news story at that moment, and then when we get updates, we'll update it. And with this new platform, I'll upload 5 videos in a freaking day if I need to, if the story develops and is ongoing. And I think that's the right way to go. I don't want to do this 140 character BS when I have a lot to say. I feel it's an injustice to you guys, but also myself. That's my opening monologue, guys. A little bit of a channel update. You guys are getting more content. You know, sorry, not sorry situation if you're upset that you're not going to be able to see me on the extra videos. That's because I'm out in the world. The fact that I'm even making a video should show you how invested and how passionate I am about giving you guys more content. So hopefully you guys understand. Much love always. Shall we get to the actual show now, right? And anybody that wants to timestamp and be cute, just skip to 5:45. Your comment will not see the light of day, I assure you. You will be gone. Your little timestamp will be gone. IBS, Internet Bitch Slap. Timestamp. We don't timestamp on the Amplified channel, please. All right, we kick off with Randy Orton. He's calling out AJ Styles. Styles obliges, and after some words with Orton, Drew McIntyre starts heading down to the ring. McIntyre asks the crowd if they want them talking or fighting. So McIntyre is still playing to the crowd, man. He is definitely a face at this point. And I don't like the fact that it happens so just spur of the moment. I mean, 1 week he's a bona fide heel bashing the crowd. The next week he's asking the crowd if they want to see another Claymore kick. And then this week he's asking the crowd if they want talking or fighting. Obviously the crowd wants to see some action. So he's playing this face out of nowhere. I don't like that because that's lack of storytelling. However, here's the good news. On the other hand, he's playing it to a T. And he makes a bona fide good face. I'm sorry. Obviously a good heel. Vince never gave him the fucking time of day as a heel. But if Vince gives him the time of day as a face, he's playing it bona fide to the fullest. He's playing it really good. The crowd is liking it. And I always told you guys, there's something in Drew McIntyre. We all see it. We all believe in him. The old man just didn't see it. The old man didn't believe in him. And he was just 50-50 booked like everybody else. But McIntyre, man, he's coming legit. So he gets in the ring. OC immediately jumps in at this point. Gallows and Anderson come out of nowhere, I believe through the crowd. I blinked and they were in the ring. But just as fast as they were in the ring, just as fast they got taken out. Anderson gets RKO'd immediately. Gallows on the outside gets Claymore kicked, and we cut to commercial. Now, when we come back from commercial, we have a triple threat match. It's AJ Styles taking on Randy Orton, taking on Drew McIntyre. I'm not one for schmaz matches. However, if you're giving me these three right now in the way they're being utilized, I was on board with this last night, guys. The crowd was absolutely electric for this opening match, and I'm really enjoying Styles and Orton playing off one another's movesets and mannerisms. I'm really enjoying the saga between Styles and Orton in the story that they're telling. It's nothing over the top. It's a little bit more getting into the psyche and playing off that psychological role, but I like it. Sometimes it's taking a step back, making it a little bit more simplistic. Sometimes that works. And there's a difference between simplistic and just being lazy. WWE booking and creative, and I use that loosely, they're most of the time just lazy, or they're just overwhelmed to the point where they give up. But when you're putting care and creativity into something, and you're consciously taking a step back, you're consciously making it simplistic, it'll work. Especially when you have two bona fide professionals like Orton and Styles. So I'm loving that in its own. But the fact that McIntyre is infused in this, and he's currently getting a little bit of a rocket. We don't know if Vince has completely lit that rocket ablaze, but it's at least ignited. We see some momentum for McIntyre. And with this new face run, just infused in there with Styles and Orton, I was kind of digging it. And clearly, the crowd in attendance, I mean, to say they were electric would actually be an understatement. They were on their feet for this match. Orton actually delivered a Styles clash in this match. That's right. Think about what I just said. Close your eyes and think about this. Orton delivered a Styles clash to AJ. Badass. I totally marked out for this, as I'm sure you guys did. The finish saw Orton hit the RKO on Styles afterwards, but Drew immediately hits a Claymore on Orton, and it's McIntyre that picks up the W. I love this. Everybody looked good. Styles continues to flaunt and pretty much make Orton into a farce, or that's what he wants Orton to believe. So Styles is playing this up storyline-wise. Orton is getting the best of Styles, but not able to finish the job because when he turns around, it's McIntyre who takes his head off his shoulders. I love this. Everybody looked good, and McIntyre keeps the momentum that was ignited from last week. It started with a conga line, now he's taking out Styles and Orton. And again, I don't feel that Orton and Styles lose anything from this, from losing this match, because they get to keep upping their ante. Their saga, their feud, their story is still unsettled. McIntyre picked up a W. Okay, it wasn't Styles, it wasn't Orton, so they still have their beef ongoing. Everybody wins here, guys. So I can't often say this with WWE, and who knows if they even meant to do this, but everything worked out perfectly in this situation. The whole opening half an hour, that's a double thumb up from the Amplified, man. Could they keep it going? Unfortunately not. We hit a little bit of a lull immediately up next in the second match. This was Ricochet and Mojo Rawley. Ricochet defeats Mojo with a 630 in what was only a 3-minute match. But that's a good thing, because the crowd and the Amplified, man, we were just not feeling this match. It's a shame to see what Ricochet is today and the hopes that we had for him over a year ago when he debuted. You know, we really felt that Ricochet, if done correctly, or at least we thought, he could be in the discussion of like a Daniel Bryan or an AJ Styles. But unfortunately, that's not the case. They misused him and mishandled him, and in the process, his persona was kind of exposed, right? We kind of saw that he's really lacking big time on the mic, and he doesn't have that over-the-top personality. At least Daniel Bryan had that. For Ricochet, he's one of those superstars that literally just has his skill and talent wrestling-wise. And while that is half the battle, it is pro wrestling, you also need that larger-than-life entertainment aspect. You need that personality that captivates people. Now, for the past month plus, 2 months plus, they've been pushing this guy as a superhero. That's not going to do it, though. We're going to need more than you forcing us to believe that he's a superhero for us to fully get behind him again. It starts with the booking and creativity, you'd like to say. But the reality is, it starts within himself. I don't care if he has to look in his mirror every single night before he goes to bed and cut promos on himself, but he needs to get better. If he starts within himself, then we can worry about Vince McMahon booking him again. Trust me, I've always been a big Ricochet fan, and I still am. I still want the best for him. But to say that this guy is in the league of a Daniel Bryan or AJ Styles when it comes to the full package would be a lie. The guy is one of the best we've ever seen wrestling-wise. But again, that's only half the game, and if you think otherwise, you're fooling yourself, not the Amplified Man. Up next, Charlotte defeats Sarah Logan. Logan brought some fight along with a new persona last night. Unfortunately, it was the same result. Another loss, just like when Sarah Logan was in the Riot Squad. Flair then has the referee put back on her robe, and Flair adds insult to injury by embarrassing Sarah Logan. She takes her and chucks her over the top rope after the match, after she was already defeated, in literally just a couple of minutes. So post-match, she puts on her robe, throws Sarah out, light work is finished. What was the whole point of bringing back Sarah Logan with a new persona? What was the whole point of Sarah Logan having a character rehaul if she was just going to come back even more of a jobber now than she was with the Riot Squad? What was the point of all this Sarah Logan rehauled character, if she was just going to job out to Charlotte in 2 minutes? Mind-boggling to me. I'm not saying Sarah Logan has this abundance of talent. I'm not saying that Sarah Logan needs to or deserves to be pushed. No, absolutely not. No more than a Dana Brooke. No more than a Carmella. But the point is, if you're going to rehaul the character and the persona, and you invested anything into her new, then why not at least give it a chance and see where it goes? I mean, is that a crazy concept? And Charlotte, again, this is just to push the Charlotte Golden Child agenda, right? Charlotte comes down, it's a meaningless match. She looks great, she looks amazing, awesome. Her opponent looks embarrassed, trash. and Vince wants you to know that Charlotte is one of the biggest threats in the Rumble. Man, if Vince McMahon only gave Sasha Banks that time of day, or Ember Moon when she was fully rocking, or Naomi when she was in that company, Asuka as a singles competitor, Kyrie. If Vince only gave those type of individuals that type of time, if Vince only made those superstars look that dominant, who knows where they'd be today. Unreal, man. Charlotte not just beats Logan, Charlotte embarrasses Logan. Just can't say I'm on board with that. Hour number 1 ends and hour number 2 begins with Brock Lesnar. Heyman slams the crowd early and creates massive heat for Lesnar in this segment. Kentucky was bringing the noise, and it created a great energy. I left this on Twitter last night, guys, and I told you guys, I don't know what's in the water in Kentucky, but, it is electric. And you saw it in that opening match with the triple threat, and you saw it with this Lesnar-Heyman segment. They booed Lesnar almost out of the arena. Lesnar actually told Paul, let's get out of here. They went up the ramp. They had to come back, because they knew they couldn't leave. They have a promo to fucking discuss, and Truth is coming out soon. You have a whole segment to produce. But Lesnar was like, we don't need this. Let's bolt. But, man, it's always fun when you see a crowd that excited. Now, a lot of the chants and a lot of what they were cheering for, was it more of the Mark nature? Absolutely. But still a fun atmosphere, right? I don't care if they were built up and made up of 90% casuals. Listen, it was a fun atmosphere. And that's contagious to the crowd at home. The diehards and the smarts, whatever you want to call the ones that know everything, supposedly, they're going to decipher through the BS anyway. But as long as the crowd is at least hot, it makes it feel and seem like the atmosphere warrants our time. Hopefully that makes sense. So I just love when a crowd is hot like that, and they were in this segment. R-Truth ends up interrupting, though, halfway through. And Truth hits the ring and tells Heyman that he's going to eliminate Paul Heyman in the Royal Rumble. This was a funny moment because Heyman has to inform R-Truth that he's not even in the Rumble. I think he even called him a bong hit. I'm not going to repeat it. Yes, I am. I think he called him a bong hit. I got to go back and watch, but it was hilarious what Paul Heyman, the interaction with him and Truth. So Heyman has to tell Truth that he's not in the Rumble, so what is he even talking about? It's Brock Lesnar that's in the Rumble. So Truth has to retract his statement, and he asks Lesnar, what's up? He is met then with a stiff clothesline from Lesnar in an F5. Lesnar grabs the mic, no mouthpiece needed here, no Paul Heyman. Lesnar grabs the mic, looks over Truth, and says, that's what's up, after that devastating F5. So it was cool to see Lesnar get a little physical. It was a funny moment with R-Truth and Paul Heyman. Even Lesnar was cracking up. The crowd was electric, so there was a lot of positives in that segment. I just wish, because the dates that Brock Lesnar works, they're very limited. So we knew, because he is advertised for next Monday as well. So he was at last Monday, that Raw, he was at last night's Raw, and he's going to be at next week's Raw. So 3 dates in a row, and I don't at all feel like we got any substance out of him, right? A couple of weeks ago, he came out and announced that he's in the Royal Rumble. Okay, well, that makes 0 sense. We were looking forward to you defending your championship, not you being in the Rumble, because now you're going to be the guy that takes out 15 dudes, when it could have been somebody else being made in that match. So a couple of weeks ago, it didn't land for me. Last night, as much as there was positives in that segment, I still feel like it was a wasted Brock Lesnar date. You're telling me Brock is going to show up, which hardly ever happens, and all you have planned for him is an F5 on R-Truth. You see what I'm saying? Positives, yes. I just would have absolutely had more planned. Something more of substance to develop for Brock Lesnar. Unfortunately, we didn't get that. So, positives, yes, but one huge negative. I feel like we're wasting Brock Lesnar when he actually does show up. Back from commercial, we had Mojo Rawley. He comes out to, I can't make this up, Truth is coming up the rampway because he's still draggy from the F5. And again, we took a commercial by this point, so we came back, and Truth is still just now leaving the rampway. But Mojo comes out, attacks him, pins him, and becomes the new 24/7 champ. So even though Mojo just lost earlier, correct? Who did Mojo lose to, guy? I just went over it, right? Ricochet, that's right. Ricochet. It was just a 2.5-minute match, so that's why I already forgot. But Mojo loses just a couple of segments earlier, and then a couple of segments later, he's pinning Truth for the 24/7 championship. Now, it's the 24/7 championship. Are we supposed to take this seriously and act like this was a huge title win? Of course not. But it shows you that maybe they have a little more planned for Mojo in the future. Maybe it starts with the 24/7 championship, and maybe this ends up somewhere. But if that's the case, getting squashed in 2.5 minutes to Ricochet 2 segments later probably wasn't the way to go about it. So if you think about it, this is 50-50 booking at its worst. 2.5-minute loss, and then 2 segments later, he's winning the 24/7 championship. If that's supposed to be a consolation prize, I'd rather just hit in the showers after I lost in 2.5 minutes. I'd rather not even pick up the 24/7 title. Because that type of yin-yanging on a character will ruin them even more. Unreal. Let me take a sip of coffee, guys, or at least get a sip of coffee if I have any left here. And I'm going to start off the second half of Raw, which is going to kick off with Bobby Lashley and Rusev. Boy, do I have a lot to say about that. Let me get a sip of coffee. We'll continue. All right, up next is Bobby Lashley and Rusev. Full disclosure, this feud, or lack thereof, became boring almost as fast as it began. And when it began, it actually had potential, guys. It did. I know you're rolling your eyes, BC. This storyline never had potential. No, it did. At the very beginning, it was at least a storyline. That's what we were asking for. As long as they didn't force feed it in an over-the-top way, in an over-the-top manner, as long as they didn't push it on us, right? They got creative while still being logical. They let it develop naturally and take its course. Dedicate the time and attention and nurture it like it should be. If all these things were done correctly, this had potential. But almost from the jump, The train was taken right off the tracks. There were so many twists and turns with this shit, and most of it was just illogical or just really bad. So we finally get the one-on-one match last night. Full disclosure again, I was so bored during this match that I was actually tweeting yo mama jokes over on Twitter. That's a true story. For those of you that follow me on Twitter, you know exactly. I mean, that's how bored I was. I was pulling off yo mama jokes because that was more entertaining and amusing at that time. That shows you where I was at, mindset-wise, watching Rusev and Lashley. Them two in the ring, just like their storyline, did nothing for me. Liv Morgan ends up coming to, again, I can't even fathom that this is how they're using Liv. I honestly was hoping like maybe they understood, they heard and they understood the backlash. So let me break that down. I was hoping that WWE Suits and Ties, they heard the backlash from Liv Morgan coming out of that wedding segment a couple weeks ago. They heard it and then they adjusted, they adapted because of it. They called an audible. And they used Liv. Starting the very next week, which was last week, they started using her in a much better, much creative way because they saw that there are people invested behind her and in her. But instead, the very next week, which was last week, they had her in a backstage interview segment for 20 seconds tops. And then this week, she's still enthralled, entrenched in this useless, meaningless, nonsensical Lashley Rusev feud. I just can't even fathom how much they ruined Liv Morgan this quickly. She just came back. There was so much aura behind her. How is she going to come back? This new look. Everybody was behind it. Everybody was into it. And she's being humiliated by Lana. That's her big comeback storyline. That's right. I said humiliated because when Liv Morgan came down last night, Lana throws a cup of Pepsi in her face, and Liv Morgan is screaming as if she is melting like the Wicked Witch from The Wizard of Oz. It's a cup of Pepsi! You're supposed to be a badass, Liv Morgan! You just came back! We were hoping she was gonna have this badass character. Lana throws a cup of Pepsi in her face, and she's acting like she's melting. She's in awe that soda was thrown in her face. And then, as if that wasn't bad enough, Lana just takes her after soda was thrown in her face. Lana takes her and catapults Liv into the barricade. Literally just like Charlotte Flair earlier in the night with the other Riot Squad member, Sarah Logan, just like Charlotte did, light work. Lana makes light work of Liv Morgan. Embarrasses her with the soda and then just chucks her like nothing. Liv Morgan screaming out in agony. Liv is in awe. It just has this look like, I can't believe I was just manhandled and embarrassed by you. Yes, that is absolutely what you should be thinking, Liv, because this is Lana. It's not like China came back from the how you doing and she's chucking you around. This is Lana who's just throwing soda at you and then saying, get out of my way. Why did you even come back? Who are you? That's how they booked Liv Morgan. If you guys don't have an issue with that, then you don't know the investment that a lot of fans had while she was away. We had a lot of high hopes for Liv, not necessarily the company or what they were going to do, but what Liv wanted to do, and maybe some of her ideas were going to be utilized. I just, if it seems like I'm going on and on about this one topic, it's because I'm that passionate behind the details, you know, and sometimes the devil is in the details. Liv could have been so much more already, and instead she was ruined from the moment she came back. And that's what bad storytelling, that's what bad ideas, that's what bad creativity will do to somebody. And in the process, it's just another layer that will help ruin your company. That's what Vince and WWE did with Liv. Unreal. In reality, I'm not going on long enough about it because I have even more to say about it. But I'll move on for the sake of timing. And I know everyone has a life, so we all want to go about our business. So I'll move on to the Viking Raiders defeating the Singh brothers in an open challenge. 90 seconds, this match was over. Viking Raiders win. Okay, moving on. Nothing more to talk about there. This is WWE not having anything for these people. Not just their superstars in general, but champions. They have nothing lined up. So they take it's either they're so overwhelmed that they just produce any BS possible, or they're just that lazy that they produce any BS possible. They're just like, let's just put them out there. That Viking Raiders match did more harm to them than help them. Backstage, did I even say this? Yeah, after the match of Rusev, did I even go over the ending of Bobby Lashley and Rusev? I don't even think I did that. After the soda was thrown in Liv's face, that was a distraction. Rusev is like, oh my god, soda in somebody's face. I'm enthralled by this. Rusev was probably more entertained by somebody getting soda thrown in their face than the match he was putting on. And I wouldn't have blamed him. That's how boring his match was. So Rusev is distracted. Lashley ends up getting the pin over Rusev. So then backstage, you have, who was it? I think it was Lana who issues a mixed match challenge to Rusev and Liv. I believe that's going to be for next week. Could be for Royal Rumble. I think it's next week on Raw, though. So a couple of segments later, after the Viking Raiders' meaningless victory, Rusev accepts Lana's challenge for next week, and Liv Morgan says, karma's a bitch. Okay, Liv Morgan, we can talk tough, but when you're out there, let's try not to have soda almost knock you out. Liv Morgan talks great on the mic, but then she's out there getting knocked out basically by a 12-ounce cup of Pepsi. Slammed into a barricade as if China was back. Oh, fuck. Up next, Asuka and Becky Lynch have their contract signing. Really good to see Kairi Sane back out there. She was kind of poking some fun at Becky Lynch, literally poking, like with her umbrella. Becky Lynch takes the umbrella and throws it out. Kairi Sane's like, all right, relax. Kairi still cannot have any physicality, guys. And I honestly believe this was WWE protecting themselves. We've heard nothing more from Kairi about that injury. Yet she's been out for weeks. We finally see her in the ring last night, and she still will not have any contact whatsoever. This shows you that it absolutely was a concussion or of that nature, and WWE let her keep competing throughout that entire match. And she took many more bumps after the initial spot where we think she got concussed. That shows you that WWE is in serious hot water, so they did not want anybody knowing that real injury. But anyway, it was good to see Kairi out there. Becky signs the contract, and Asuka gets up and sprays that green mist right into her face. Now, if you see that on replay, Becky Lynch was already had her eyes closed like fucking well beforehand. But Asuka does the... Listen, I'm okay with that mist segment. I didn't need Becky Lynch getting on the mic afterwards because that destroyed it. Becky Lynch, after she gets the mist sprayed, Asuka walks off. Becky grabs a towel. People are helping her. She's wiping her face off. And Becky grabs the mic and she starts saying a bunch of words. I don't even know what she's saying at this point. I really don't, because it was all just mumbo jumbo. Nothing had meaning behind it. It was so dumb. She's giving like a rah-rah speech. That's what made it so not realistic. It was so unbelievable. You just had this mist sprayed in your eyes, and now you're giving a hoorah speech. A bunch of words, and they all came together to allude to the point in the fact that at the Royal Rumble, Becky will overcome all obstacles and defeat Asuka. Basically, that was the translation. I don't know. This just didn't land for me. Did it for you guys? It didn't for me. I felt the segment just should have had more substance to it. I'm okay with the mist in Becky's eyes, but then I needed more after that. Instead, we got more, all right. We just got Becky on the fucking microphone. There's not many more things cringe than Becky Lynch on the microphone. She's great on social media, but when she starts opening the trap, and that's the face of the company? Yeah, okay, and I'm the face of the $20 bill. Ain't happening. Backstage promos with Andrade, Zelina, and Rey Mysterio. This sets up a United States Championship ladder match for next Monday night. I'm down with that. Something tells me that we're going to get some schmozzery in this, and there's going to be a rematch ladder match at Royal Rumble. I wouldn't be surprised, don't be shocked. Because they're giving away a pretty big Dynamite match, no pun intended, but it is a Dynamite match for next Monday. Maybe they just want to get as many viewers as they can so they can kick off Royal Rumble and WrestleMania season with the higher viewership, the highest subscriber count on the network. But I just wouldn't be surprised if that's not the end of their saga. Up next, Aleister Black takes on Buddy Murphy. This is part 3 in their saga. These two once again get over 15 minutes and utilized every single one of those minutes to the fullest. These two are just so awesome together. I say this time and time again. Even before they were going one-on-one with one another. There's this chemistry that you just knew they were going to have together. And then you start seeing a couple of their matches and you're like, yep, there's that chemistry. They just work so well together. And I always told you guys, every Shawn Michaels needed a Bret Hart. Every Steve Austin needed a Rock. Every Aleister Black needs a Buddy Murphy and vice versa. That one guy throughout your career that just has your number. The one guy that you just have the just most epic of battles with. And on any given day, on any week, either one of you could win. You know, everyone says that about Cesaro and Sheamus. They didn't have that type of chemistry, though. You know, I remember their best of 7, and by match 3, I was already kind of like, all right, I'm done. Match 3 here, and I'm like, oh, give me 4, 5, 6, and 7 up front. Every week, let's do this, you know, and I'm not usually a fan for rematches. But Black and Buddy Murphy, once again, in part 3, brought it. They definitely lived up to the billing, no doubt, and we knew they were. Now, the end of this saw a devastating Black mass to Murphy. Probably the best Black mass that I have seen Murphy take. But unfortunately, the ref says that Murphy's shoulder was up, which I went back and watched it 76 times. Buddy Murphy never even moves his shoulder, not one of them. The ref totally botched this. I think the ref thought the match was supposed to continue on. So the referee says Murphy's shoulders was up. The count was stopped after a devastating Black mass. I could not believe this, guys, because nobody should have been kicking out of that. Sure enough, if you go back and watch, Murphy did not botch. It was the ref. Or maybe Vince, I don't know what happened, but you clearly see, I did my research for you guys, but you guys can check it out yourself if you can find unedited footage. The referee is clearly, he has his hand on his battery pack, which is obviously communicating back to Vince. He's speaking into his referee shirt, which has the microphone, so he has constant communication with backstage gorilla position Vince McMahon. And he's literally talking to Vince after he botches. You know Vince is screaming in his ear, right? It looks like the abyss to us because we're like, who's the ref talking to? But if you know what's going on, you know he's talking to Vince, and Vince is talking to the ref. He has an earpiece. So you can clearly see the ref communicating with Vince after the botch. You can clearly see and hear Buddy Murphy and Aleister Black pissed, and they're calling audibles. You can see it, and obviously you can hear it as well. So if you go back and do your research, guys, you know that was not the right ending. So Murphy had to get on this was perfect, because he stayed on his knees as another Black mass was delivered. This one, just as devastating as the first one. And this time the referee does his job correctly, and he counts to 3. Aleister Black picks up the W. Now, do I feel like the Black mass was ruined here? No, absolutely not, because it's believable that Buddy Murphy may have somehow twitched his shoulder up just out of instinct. His body just twitched up. It's believable because of who these two are in the ring together and what they can do and how much they have that one-upsmanship and how they need to pull that last gasp of air out of them for their match because they don't want to, and they cannot lose. So it's believable still. I just feel like that Black mass was so devastating. That was a horrible time to botch. But it did not ruin Black mass. Black mass is still the most epic knockout blow in the business. And it's believable that Murphy could have just twitched out. Now, if he actually kicked out and shouldered up, then we'd have an issue. But upon replay, and they even showed a replay stupidly and foolishly, but upon replay, you even see Murphy's down and out. He ain't kicking out of anything. So if he did, if the ref saw something, it was literally just a twitch. unconsciously. So, no harm, no foul. It was a major botch, though. But these two put on such another epic classic that it didn't ruin it. Any other match, any other two, they would have ruined it. But this whole series of matches with them are becoming classics to me. So for yours truly, I was loving it. Up next, moving on though, and again, that's a second Black Mass because of the referee botch. Buddy Murphy is defeated by Aleister Black. And hopefully we see a part 4 or 5 and going forward even more out of these two. But Buddy Murphy wasn't done. Buddy Murphy had a bigger segment later in the night. How can you get bigger than that match? Well, Buddy Murphy had something big coming up later on because he was so distraught after that match. He stayed on the barricade on the outside. I believe Charlie Caruso tried to interview him, but he was just in awe of what just happened. He just could not beat Aleister Black yet again. Even though he knows he's coming this close, but he just can't get the job done. And so he stays on the barricade. He stays on the outside of the ring for the next matchup, which is Eric Rowan defeating Jobbin' Jimmy. And after the match, I believe Eric Rowan got bit by his little creature in the cage. So you got more weird shit with Eric Rowan. I don't know where that's leading to, and I'm not going to speak any more of it because they only dedicated 2 minutes of the segment. I'm not going to dedicate any more than 2 minutes. Rowan defeats Jobbin' Jimmy, and he gets bit by his creature. What more of a review do you need? Now back to Buddy Murphy. He's still, even after that Eric Rowan match, he's still on the outside. So, you know, you're like, okay, is he going to interfere in something? Is he going to eventually walk off during commercial? We don't know. This takes us into the main event, which is advertised as a fist fight, when in reality, it's just a 6-man tag match. Maybe under tornado-style rules, but it's just a 6-man tag match with a fancy title. A fist fight. What? I didn't see too much fist flying. This was Kevin Owens, Samoa Joe, and The Big Show taking on Rollins in the AOP. Owens, at one point in this match, he literally looked like Tony Hawk on a half-pipe, just without the skateboard. Because he flew up what I call the Monday Night Raw half-pipe. He flew up there, running, I should say, or jogging. It's Kevin Owens. I mean, he's not the most brisk of people. But he jogged his way up this half-pipe. No skateboard, he's just running up that shit. And he does like this senton into the AOP. Down below where the commentary booth is. So it was a pretty cool spot, man. At first, I had to see it a second time to make sure I really saw what I thought I saw. And then they replayed it, and I was like, damn. But you also had Samoa Joe diving into the abyss in this match. You had Big Show going through tables. So this match was just an abundance of chaos. They just wanted this show to end in a wild nature. And it did. I don't know if it landed. I can't tell you I was entertained or excited, but it ended in a wild nature for sure. And the ending saw Buddy Murphy, who was on the outside. He comes in and he takes out the Big Show. Now, for a brief moment, the Big Show was able to overcome the odds, but the numbers game ended up proving too much. And Buddy Murphy, Seth Rollins in the AOP took out the Big Show, got him in position for the stomp. And once Rollins delivered that stomp, the referee decided that the Big Show was unable to get back on his feet in a considerable amount of time, I guess. So that's the rules of the fist fight. If the referee deems you not able to get on your feet in a reasonable amount of time, the referee calls the match. Well, over one stomp, all right, Buddy Murphy didn't beat him up that much. It was one stomp, and the referee is like, that's it, match done. And that's what I mean, man. It was just a 6-man tag with a fancy title. Because WWE does this all the time. Remember Hell in a Cell? It's supposed to be Hell in a Cell. They stopped the match because Bray was getting beat too bad. What? Come on, man. It's Hell in a Cell. This is supposed to be a fist fight. I didn't see too much fist fighting. So Big Show ends up losing the match for his team. So Owens, Joe, and Big Show lose. And again, Buddy Murphy jumps in there and attacks Big Show. And afterwards, after the celebration with Rollins in the OP, Rollins extends his arms out, and Buddy Murphy embraces Rollins. There is a new member in the Architects of Pain, and that is Buddy Murphy. I kind of like this. I can't tell you it fits perfectly, right? I'm still trying to see how this puzzle piece fits into the overall puzzle. It's a damn good addition, no question. I just don't know how him and Rollins are really going to be together. I mean, Murphy's character has always been a no BS kind of dude. I don't stand behind anybody kind of dude. That's why his matches with Aleister Black are so dynamite, because he needs to be the top guy. But that's Rollins' position, right? So Murphy has to play the backseat dude. This is where I don't understand this, and I don't think it quite fits. But it is Murphy and Rollins together with the AOP. To tell me that's not a dynamite, again, no pun intended, but it is a dynamite faction, you'd be fooling yourself, not me. Because that is a kick-ass faction. I don't know how they're going to gel together. It remains to be seen. But it's cool to have Murphy being utilized in this way. His stock, even after that loss to Black, after joining the Architects of Pain, his stock just rose tenfold. He just became a main player last night. And I know, BC, he already was a main player, man. No, let's not kid ourselves. We liked him. We wanted him to be. He was having kick-ass matches. But he wasn't positioned as a main player. Now, this dude is a main player. You saw it in AEW with somebody like Sammy Guevara. He joins Inner Circle, and all of a sudden, boom, Sammy Guevara is the talk of the town. You damn well better bet. Buddy Murphy joining the Architects of Pain. This is huge. And I like it. Again, I don't know how it's quite going to gel, but I like it. We have a formidable faction now. When it was just them three, I was kind of like, I feel like one more piece of the puzzle at least could help. Buddy Murphy, it's a kick-ass piece. We'll have to see again how they gel and work together. But damn, business just picked up, as good old Jim Ross would say. Because that's pretty freaking electric. Guys, that was Monday Night Raw. It has its ups and downs a little bit more than usual last night. The crowd being electric really helped out some of those segments. We actually did see some things happen last night that should have happened. That doesn't always happen, so that was good to see. I'm still seeing way too much nonsensical BS happening, though. And this close to Royal Rumble, this close to WrestleMania season, shit cannot happen, man. It's 2020. I should be discussing a lot more good shit than negative or bad. And I just feel like most of these segments that I go over, I'm seeing more of a negative twist on it than more positive talk I can speak on. Hopefully that makes sense. And again, I look at pro wrestling differently. I understand that. As a reviewer, I do dissect it differently. I do go back and watch it 3 or 4 times. So I'm giving you guys the best, most factual information that I possibly can, or anybody is going to on this platform. So yes, I may be dissecting too much sometimes. I may be overanalyzing too much sometimes. But to me, it's just right, because for years, they've been giving us stale, stagnant, lackluster BS. At what point do we hold them accountable? At what point do we say, you need to do better as a company? At what point do we demand better? Not just for us, but for them. Not just the suit and ties, but those wrestlers, those human beings in that company. They deserve better, man. So that's why I raised the bar in 2020. That's why I raised all of our standards. Because we deserve it. They deserve it. That's Monday Night Raw for January 13th, 2020. I'll see you guys, hopefully for an impromptu tomorrow. I still haven't really spoke in detail about Tessa or Paige or any of that stuff. So hopefully within the next 24 hours, I can unleash a couple of videos. Even if I'm out in the world, again, it might not be you guys seeing me necessarily, but you'll be hearing my amplification. At least it'll be extra content. So hopefully I can get that out there. And of course, double video upload day on Thursday. AEW and NXT's review. 2 separate ones. And then the podcast this weekend. And of course, SmackDown's review and reaction. Only 2 SmackDowns before Royal Rumble. I can't believe WrestleMania season is already coming up. I can't believe we're already halfway through January. Time is flying. We're all just getting older. And the product just doesn't seem to be getting any that much better. Hopefully, starting around Rumble time when we really get into it, hopefully, man, Mania season really picks up this business. I'm really looking forward to that. I'm really hoping that is what happens. I know I'm pulling here. I'm reaching, right? I'm not pulling. I'm reaching here. But I'm hoping. That's what we usually tune in for. Out of habit and hope, right? Amplified, man, guys. Kick the rest of this Tuesday's ass. I'll see you with plenty of content to come later this week. For now, go Pack Go, baby. That's right. You didn't think I was not going to talk about it. My Green Bay Packers squeaking out a victory this past Sunday night over the Seattle Seahawks. What a game, man. They made me nervous, but we ended up winning. We're going to have to be much better than that going into this Sunday night against the San Francisco 49ers. They're just too damn good. But if we can pull that off, the Packers are in the Super Bowl. I can't even fathom this. I need another call. I need two. I'm going to double fist right now just to fathom that. Amplified man for now. Check you later.